Things been
My,
going all right?
yes, sir. Going great. I appreciate you having me.
No, I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
You want to
Re-
jump right in?
Yeah, I'm good. Whatever you want, however you want to go, I'm good with, man. I think it's cool
Okay.
what you do. Anybody that promotes and high school sports, I'm all about that, man. So
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah,
enjoy it. And I enjoy I enjoy the relationship side of it, like
yeah,
I've covered sports in the state for a long time, but all kind of in the Birmingham area, which is fine, which is great. But like, and I'll do that with this and with anything else. But I like kind of branching out a little bit, and
yeah,
kind of going to different parts of the state and certainly different classifications. Like, because most of what I cover is going to be 6A, 7A, some 5A, but I like I like some variety, and getting to know some new people.
sure, sure. That's good.
So tell me about Oakman out in Walker County. I've never been. What's the
Yeah,
lay of the land in Oakman?
I got you. So probably outside of the school, the most famous landmark is probably the Bullpen Steakhouse. So I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but people come from all over to eat at the bullpen and but Oatman's a small community. We have one red light, truly one red light. There's a couple of gas stations, a couple of mom and pop restaurants, but it's still, I always tell people you got to try to get to Oatman. You don't just get to, you got to be trying to get there. But south of Jasper, probably 40 miles from Tuscaloosa, we're a Walker County school. Um, and just a neat kind of old school throwback little community, really good community support, and school's kind of still the central theme in the
Yeah.
town. So kind of we're hanging on to that. I know that's kind
Yeah.
of window, but we're kind of hanging on to it here.
No, that's cool. Like I was gonna ask you what's the spot in Oakman. It sounds like it's that bullpen place, but like what I don't know, what makes it unique to you being there? Like what about that place is different than maybe some other places you've come across?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I grew up in Madison, Alabama, so I graduated from Bob Jones High School in 1994, and most of my upbringing was in the Huntsville area. So I grew
Yeah.
up in a bit bigger city, and I actually was in 2000. I was the head baseball coach at Bob Jones High School in 2006 through 2009, and so I had worked in at the time it was the biggest high school in the state of
Yeah.
Alabama, and so to end up here is kind of like, I always tell that's part of God's ordained those steps for me because I love it here. It's really, really kind of a better fit for me. But you know, it's still one of those places where the school is still important and what goes on in the school is still important. There's not a bigger event in Oakman, Alabama than a Friday night. That's kind of unique still. And so you got a lot of that old, old school, I'm not gonna say the community shuts down because I don't think that happens anywhere anymore, but it close to do that. I mean, it's still, you're gonna have the same people here every Friday night supporting football, supporting athletics in general, so
Yeah.
it's just unique in that way. I think the kids here are still uh they enjoy they take a little pride in their school and where they come from. And so uh it's just kind of maybe a little piece of maybe a different world than some of what's going on in high school athletics. And for me, that's kind of
Yeah.
it's where I fit. I think it's important to find a place you fit and where you have a niche. And it's not perfect. There's nowhere that's utopia, but for me personally, it's been a tremendous uh, place for me and my family.
Yeah. And you've been there, what year is this for you? You've been there since what, like 2019, something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I came in the middle of the year in 2018. So, or actually the middle of the year 2019. 2019 was my first football
Okay.
season here, but I came in the January. I got hired here the January before that. So this will be season number 6 for us here.
Okay. And like, so I was doing a little bit of my homework, but I mean, you're a baseball guy. How do you how'd you become the football coach? And then, I mean, you're the football coach and the baseball coach, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Not to get in too depth with it, but I
Sure.
played college baseball. I played baseball at Jefferson State and the University of Alabama in Huntsville. And when I got done playing there, it was just kind of natural to go into coaching baseball. I always wanted to be a coach. My coaches had a huge impact on my life, and that really stuck with me. And so that's something I always wanted to do. And it was just natural to coach baseball. And so my childhood best friend was a guy named Chip Lindsey, who is the offensive
Oh,
coordinator at North
okay.
Carolina now. So Chip was the head baseball coach at Sparkman High School. So I went and helped him for a year, and then I went back in GA to UAH and was at Northwest Shoals Community College for several years. Went back to UAH as assistant coach, and then the Bob Jones job came open, which is where I went to school. And at the time, it was the biggest school in the state, and my high school coach was a principal. So I took that job. But just to be honest with you, I spent all those years climbing this ladder, like trying to get to this point. And Bob Jones was maybe my dream. And I got there and realized the ladder was leaning on the wrong building. And, I really had not done a good job of impacting people, very selfish. It was about me trying to get where I wanted to go. And I just was a transactional coach. Everything was transactional, about winning and and so my wife was from Jasper. She grew up in Jasper, and we met while I
Yeah.
was playing baseball. She was playing softball at UAH, and she wanted to move home when my son was born. And so when we came here, I just sort of recreated myself as a football coach. I just started over, and I really felt the impact that you could have in a football locker room was maybe a little greater than the other sports, just by sheer numbers and some of the
Right.
things that you go through as in a football environment. And so coming here gave me almost like a sabbatical and a start over and a reboot. And so I spent several years at Jasper, Walker at the time, Walker High
Yeah.
School, Jasper, turned to Jasper, coaching football, and just kind of when the right opportunity presented itself, I always thought, you know what, I'm gonna go give this thing a shot, man. I don't see any place where you can have the impact. And I'm not disparaging other sports. I think all coaches
Right.
and teachers and educators have tremendous opportunity to impact. But in a football locker room, things that go on there and the bonds and relationships, like you were talking about, the relationships that are built, and when everybody it all comes together and you work really hard through the week and you're sacrificing, and then you win on Friday night to go in that locker room. There's people dancing, hugging, crying, laughing, the band's in there. It's just community. There's so many
Yeah.
positive things that come from that, and that kind of enthralled me, and I felt like, man, you know that you can get that every Friday night, that feeling, and you get the opposite of that, the anguish and pain of it not working out. And so,
Yeah.
anyway, when we came here, I wanted to do that and have an opportunity to do that. And so, when this job came open, it was one that I'd always kind of thought was interesting because of the fit. It's a smaller town community. I coach these kids from the time they're in the fifth and sixth grade. Like, we have them all the way up, and I can really build some depth to the relationships, and kind of build the environment. And people throw around the word culture, but maybe build the kind of environment that I would want to be in. And so I think that's important. You got to be in an environment where you fit. A lot of people talk about square peg, round hole, but they're talking about scheme and things like that. I think that relates to people too. I'm not the
Yeah.
right coach for every situation. I know that. And I have a lot of admiration for these coaches at the bigger schools that have to deal with things that, we don't deal with
Yeah.
here. Um, so that kind of led me to the football thing. And then our baseball coach left here in June last year, and in a small school, it's kind of hard to find one. And because of my experience, it was kind of, I'm 47. I'm still fairly healthy, and you know, I know not many people are doing that anymore, but why not? Let's roll.
Yeah.
So we just kind of took it, and I had a blast. And a lot of the same kids play football that play baseball, so it's a lot of carryover. And I'm also the athletic director here, so that's I kind of have an influence on a lot of those things. So it works. It's been a really cool experience for myself and family, and all of our coaches here are great, so that makes it work too. So
Yeah.
I
Like, and I,
go around to get back to that point, but
yeah. Well, and I know, like, I mean, especially these days, like, even if you just coach one sport, like, it's such a strain on your time, like, not just from, 7:30 to 3 or something like that. Like, it's all the time.
Mhm.
But how do you like? Do you have time to do much else? Being the AD, the head ball coach for baseball and football.
No, I mean, but I'll say this: I've always felt like to make this thing really work, it kind of has to all be centric. Like, a lot of people say work-life balance. I think the more I can blend my family into what I'm doing here, the better it's going to be. And that goes with all of our coaches. We're really open to, like, if one of our coaches' wife needs them, they just come to the field and get them, and they late. Like, we're not going to freak
Yeah.
out about stuff like that, because it's like you said, the time demand on this thing is so much. But I'm blessed now. I'm really blessed. We have great coaches here, which allow me to step away from football for a little while and everything. We've been together up 4 or 5 years, so it
Yeah.
rocks on. And my wife is also a coach. She's the head softball coach at Jasper. And then my son is an eighth grader here and plays sports here, plays all three sports here. So, I'm gonna be up here anyway, and while I'm here, but there's a lot of pieces that fit that make that work. You can't do that. I get
Right.
it. We have
Yeah.
phenomenal assistant coaches here that are committed to Oakman and love Oakman, and, like, so I can step away and go to baseball practice. The football guys are going to they're going to lift like they're supposed to. They're going to be where they're supposed to be. The locker room is going to be taken care of. It works because of the people you have around you. But I do think the more you can involve your family into that piece and make everything, in your faith, if that's important to you, if you could put all that into one place, there's no really need to worry about work-life balance, because it happens naturally. So that's just my
Yeah.
take.
Yeah. What's for football specifically, talking about, like, I mean, in general, but this upcoming season as well. Give me the lay of the land in 3A. Like, what is 3A football in Oakman? What is 3A football in, I think y'all are what, Region 5, I think?
I think that's right. Yep, yep, yep. We're
Okay.
Winfield, Gordo, Hanceville, midfield. Yeah, I think that's Region 5. I think we were Region 6
Okay.
last year.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking, yeah, Gordo, Hanceville,
Mhm.
midfield, Phil Campbell, Vinemont, Winfield, Carbon Hill.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep.
What's
Good
what's
region.
that like? Yeah.
It's a good region. The top end teams like Gordo is obviously a 3A.
Yeah.
They're going to be really. We've played them every year I've been here, and they're always very talented and well coached. And that's another one of those neat communities where you go there on a Friday night, and it's going to be really neat to play in there. And then Winfield, the guy there, does a great job. I think, we've been in the playoffs 13 years in a row here. Um,
Oh,
Midfield is a really, really solid program with they got everybody coming back that have played for 2 years, and I expect them to be really, really good. Phil Campbell and Hanceville and Vinemont are both new to kind of our region. They came in, but we were in a region with Vinemont several years ago. They're sort of like Fife. I mean, they're the same style as Fife. They're gonna
okay.
line up, play in a phone booth, and they're gonna beat on you. You're only gonna get the ball like 5 times the whole night, right? So you better score when you get it. And uh, I know a little bit about Phil Campbell, but I think it's a very one thing that you look for, like I look at in the regions, is, do our communities kind of look similar? Like Fayette was in our region the last 2 years. Like, we don't look nothing like Fayette. Like, they've got a Walmart, like they've got all, and we've got an Oakman Super Mini Mart where you can get a fishing lure, duct tape, a Coke, a
Oh,
hunt.
love it.
Do the communities kind of look the same? Or the resources similar? And I think that's one thing about this region is we're all kind of similar. So it makes it competitive. But 3A football 5 comes back in the north, which of course we played them in the first round about 4 years ago, and it's unbelievable what they do up
It's
there. But
Fife. Yeah.
it is. So our region is tough. I would think Winfield and Gordo obviously have set the standard for in our region, what it takes to be successful, and I don't think that'll change. But um, those new teams coming in, like I said, are competitive. There's, Phil Campbell was in the playoffs this year. I think midfield will be really good. Carbon Hill, the coach there, does a great job. I mean, DJ Emerson is his name. He's like one of those guys that the kids play really hard for, and they're going to have a lot of fun, and they're going to upset somebody, and you just can't let it be you. You know what I mean? They're going to beat
Right.
somebody, and so I think you got to be ready to play every night. And again, back to what I love this. I love this this type of football, like where you're going into a community and the community supports it. And almost every one of these schools are going to be like that. Like you're going to go there and they're going to be, people there early, and I love that. And I'm hanging on to that. I know it's kind of drifting away, but I'm hanging on to that here, and maybe we can keep it going for a few more years.
Yeah. Well, and you told me something kind of, I don't want to say unique because I'm sure this happens at some places, but um, Wednesday of game home game week, those lawn chairs start showing up, right?
Yeah, that's a cool thing. Like I cut the grass on Wednesday and then usually roll it again like either Thursday or Friday. And while I'm doing that, I'm just kind of noticing the people, and they're in a routine. Like every Wednesday at 10 o'clock, this group of people comes and puts their chairs down. And what happens at Oakman is it's old concrete bleachers, right? So nobody wants to sit on that. So they all bring their, these rockers, these chairs, and they
Yeah.
sit them in the stadium. So by Thursday evening, when we're leaving out of here, painting the field or whatever, there's all these chairs up there, and you're like, man, that's pretty for these kids, man. What a cool experience, to know people support you and still that way a little bit here. So that's a neat thing.
Yeah, and I'm sure like any community in Alabama, whether it be 1A, 7A, 3A, it doesn't matter. When that August 22nd, it looks like is y'all's first game this year. People starving for some high school football. I imagine they might start a little earlier than that Wednesday. It looks like y'all open at home with Cordova.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's one of those where a lot of our kids' parents and their parents work together, and so it's a big deal
Okay.
too. You know, neighboring communities, and yeah, so that's a big game for us, big game, and we play it on Thursday, hopefully, because we want everybody in the county to be here, and it ends up being a really cool environment for both groups. But yeah, they'll be putting chairs out early on that one, and you got to watch it now. Some of them Cordova people are liable to be putting chairs out on the other side to but they're still that's a neat little rivalry, and again, just a small town where the football deal on Friday night is the biggest event that happens in the community. Whether and it branches out to so many people. Like your band, our band is phenomenal. Our band is great. That our Casey Woods director, he does an awesome job. But that's 50 kids. That's 50 more sets of parents. That's 50 more little brothers and sisters that are there. And you got 12 or 15 cheerleaders, and you got little young guys that can't wait to play on Friday. It's pretty cool, pretty neat experience.
Yeah.
I know in Alabama it's still that way, and hopefully we can keep that going. And tell you, things like what you do are what help keep that going. And that's one of the things that I certainly want to tell you is anybody that promotes high school athletics, I think they're so impactful in people's lives, and uh, people that promote that, we certainly appreciate that, and know that you're a big part of keeping that going. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's when I was doing this stuff full time. Quick little side story. When I was doing like newspaper stuff full time, I was doing everything. Covering crime, covering city council government, covering school board meetings, and all of that. And I knew that at least from August through early November at least that at the end of every long week of covering anything and everything that it ended on a sideline. Every Friday night I had a game to cover, and like it didn't that wasn't work. That was fun. And it's still a job to do, but it didn't feel like it at all because it was the cherry on top. And I can't kick it. Like I'm addicted to it. I love doing it. I love covering it in any way I can, whether it be written form, whether it be video stuff or stuff like this podcast type thing. Anything that can kind of keep me attached to the game in that small kind of way, I love doing.
It's awesome. I think that's what we're all, we're all kind of doing in a way. And that's the neat thing about high school athletics is just the connections and the relationships and like me and you sitting here talking on a Wednesday afternoon. Well, that doesn't happen unless you have these things. And there's so many things that are happening because of those relationships. So, we want to try to keep pushing it and keep it going. And I know that high school athletics is not the end all. and I always tell our players that, like, there's a lot cooler things, like going to the beach with your family, eating good seafood is really cool. But high school athletics is cool too, and you need to enjoy it and savor that moment, and don't get caught up in lost. And we're trying to make professionals out of 16-year-olds sometimes, and I don't know. I don't want our players ever to lose sight of the really neat things that come with what goes on in these locker rooms.
Yeah.
And I don't think, a lot of people say high school's the best time of your life. It wasn't mine. It wasn't the best time of my life, but it was pretty cool. And
Yeah.
we want to make sure that the experience is one that they'll remember, and it is positive. And so, uh, again, like people like you and these things that you guys do, or I'll always support those things because I think it helps that.
Yeah. No, well said. So who are some guys to watch this fall? What is a 3A roster in Oakman like? How many guys are going both ways?
Yeah, well, one of the unique things about 3A is the better upper echelon 3As, a lot of them play people one way. And then as you get down to the bottom of 3A, nobody plays one way. So if you go 4A, a lot of those teams are going to play a lot of guys one way. If you go 2A, everybody's playing both ways.
Right.
So 3A is kind of the weird, like Piedmont for years, they're playing guys one way. Where
Yeah.
we got guys play, but we've kind of grown into where now we play probably we'll have four guys that play both ways
Okay.
significantly. And then we've built enough depth and have got enough guys in the program that we're going to have 7, 8 guys that just play one side of the ball. And, but that goes from year to year. But right now we have about 42 on our roster, and that's 9 through 12. And we'll probably dress some eighth graders. We always dress 5 or 6 eighth graders. So we'll get up around 45 kids. We return a lot. We lost 8 seniors. Now, we lost some good ones. Our center played in the North-South game. We had a receiver, running back, outside linebacker, kid that signed with Union University in Kentucky that was a good player. And we just had some solid good high school football players in that group.
Yeah.
But we return a bulk of the guys that played. So I think on offense, we got 7 or 8 starters coming back. And on defense, I think we
Wow.
got 7 or 8. So now some of those are the same guy. Some of those are the same
Sure.
thing.
Sure.
On offense, we return a running back, Tyler Thomas. It'll be a junior that he ran for about 900 yards and 15 touchdowns. Our quarterback's back. Most of our offensive line is back. We lost the center, who's a good player, but the other 4 guys are back. We have a tackle that's about 6'7", 315. He's going to be a college guy. I don't know what level, but he's being recruited by several group of 5 in FCS. So he's back, and then some other skill guys that play a lot on defense. We got a linebacker that was all state back, our middle linebacker, safety, 3D lineman, our nickel outside linebacker guy, he's back. So we got a lot of guys back. Trace Cagle's that inside linebacker. And then that big 6'7" kid, he plays on the defense. Obviously, he plays on the defensive line too, of course. So got a lot of guys back off a 7-4 team. And one of the neat things I'll say is, like, we went 3-7 the year before. They were all freshmen or 3-8. They were all freshmen and sophomores. So we started all these freshmen and sophomores. None of them left. None of them quit. We didn't have anybody transfer in. We didn't have anybody transfer out. They just stayed the course. And last year they flipped that to 7-4. And, I hope that they're rewarded because they're a really good group. And we expect to have a good year with that much experience coming back.
Yeah, I'm looking off this way. I've got another screen where I'm looking at that. I mean, like you said, I mean the offense total points, I mean, fairly comparable, but like 2022, you give up 380 points, and last year only 238. I mean, that is marked improvement on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, no doubt. And a lot of that had to do with the ability to play guys one way. I mean, just to be honest with you, the lot of it had to do with we were just physically beat to death that first year late in the game, and we just could not sustain. It's like 21-7 at Gordo, and late in the third quarter, it ends up 54-14.
Right.
Just couldn't maintain and sustain. But again, I credit a lot to our kids, and they they could have, a bunch of them could have quit and got, tried to Trent. None of them did. They just stayed the course, and we didn't change a whole lot. Didn't change the scheme. Didn't change
Yeah.
you know, we just got better at what we did. And I think that's a lot of, that's kind of what I tell them this year. We don't have to do more than we did last year. We just got to get better at what we're doing. Just kind of,
Uh,
don't feel like you got to do more for it to be better. Just do it better. And that's kind of our philosophy here. But definitely defensively, but I think a lot of that, like I said, just stay the course, stay in the weight room. Kids get a year older. There's a big difference in a
yeah.
15-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've got good leadership, and our coaches, like I said, they do a phenomenal job with the kids. And, I attribute a lot of that to them and the job that they do with them every day.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like on the other side of the ball. I mean, you mentioned a guy that what is a sophomore ran for 900 yards, 15 TDs, and kind of the size on that O line. I'm assuming you like to lean into that D line and run the ball a good bit.
No doubt. I mean, we're number one thing. That's what we're going to try to control the ball and keep the ball away from you a little bit and rely on them. We also had two other running backs that ran for over five or right around 500 yards. So,
Man.
we didn't feature one back is what I'm getting at. He could, if we'd have featured him,
Oh,
and he's such an unselfish kid. Like we're playing Winterboro last year, and he comes over, and the kid that's going to Union is really hot, and he's like, keep giving him the ball. I'll just play X and block, So
yeah.
the unselfishness, he could have put up way better numbers than that if he. But we're definitely a run first team, and our quarterback's mature. He was a 10th grader, so we'll put a little more on him this year to make some more decisions in the pass game. But I love offensive line. Like I never would have thought in a million years that I would love, but coaching the offensive line is my favorite thing in the world to do, because those kids are think about it. They're the only group in any sport that never gets the ball. Like they don't, you know what I mean? Like they never get touched by the rule of the game.
Right.
They don't get to score. And so those kids are so awesome and unique. And so, we want to build our team around them on offense, and it's half your offense too. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we do. But it's quarterback driven too. I mean, that you've been around sports long enough. The quarterback's ability dictates a lot of what you can do schematically and his maturity. So we look for him to put a little more on him. And last year he kind of tried to keep us from getting beat. Well, this year we need him to try to help us beat.
Right.
We need him to make some plays, and I think he'll be ready to do that. He's a young one too. He's like a 15-year-old. He's gonna be a 15-year-old junior. He should have been held back. His name's Caden Aaron, but I'm really excited about having him back.
Wow. It sounds like a lot to look forward to this fall for you guys.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, it's this group is, like I said, they've been playing for 2 years, the majority of them, and for those seniors, it'll be a culmination of all that work. And the good thing, and this is the life piece of football. They've been through the rough. The seniors this year were on a 9-2, 9-3 second round team.
Yeah.
They were on a 3-8 first round, and then last
Yeah.
year the team that they've been, and man, what
Yeah.
great. Like, think about all the lessons that they've been through and opportunities for preparation. That's the thing about football. A lot of people say you get to practice life before it happens by playing football. And I think there's a lot to that. I mean, but we always want, for us, our vision and what I want that last meeting when it is over, for it to be like, we're just totally distraught because we don't get to be together anymore. And, whether we win it all and I still we're upset because, man, we don't get to go back to practice. And so that's what we're always trying to do, is create that experience. And that filters kind of all of our thoughts is how can we make that last meeting be where, man, they're upset because they don't get to do this anymore. And so make sure we're all working hard every day to make sure we give those seniors that opportunity when they walk off the field at the end of next year. And again, you don't, that's one thing about this level. You get one guy hurt and it can totally change your whole season.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to get satisfaction and fulfillment out of winning that last game and that's it, you're going to have some rough times ahead of you, because it's just, a lot of things can go against you, and it's not like, I say in college, your left tackle goes down, you put that second left tackle in. Well, if our left tackle goes down, we're going to put in our tight end, which means we're going to have to move our X to tight end, which that left tackle was also our long snapper. So
Yeah.
it just turns you into this
Mm.
circus. But we're excited and excited for football in general. That's what a fun time of year that is, and just so many memories made, and um, just excited. Yep. Trying to
Yeah.
it's a school year, and of course, it never stops. So,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I love the mindset. I love the things that sounds like y'all stand for in Oakman. But I can't let you get out of here without you're a baseball guy. You played, you coached, you still coach. Favorite pro team, favorite player of all time. Who are we going? Where are we going?
all right. My favorite pro team probably today is the Braves, and the reason the Braves is because I was probably like you growing up. That was the only that and the Cubs during the daytime were the only games you could see, and so
Nope.
I
WGN.
yep. I turned into a Red Sox fan for a while
Okay.
because I really like Fenway and the nostalgia and all the things that go to that. But
Yeah.
uh, I grew up when Dale Murphy was really the man, and so he was probably my favorite player of all time. But um, I'd say the Braves, and then Dale Murphy's my favorite player of all time.
I like it. Have you been to a game at Fenway?
Yes, I've been to two actually. I've been
Two?
twice. Yep. I
Okay.
I watched them play the Yankees one time, and Joba Chamberlain pitched against Josh Beckett. It was Chamberlain against Josh Beckett, and
Whoa.
Jeter hit a solo homer to win 1-0. It was wild. That was unbelievable. That was like I've been to like Notre Dame to a football game, like the Red Sox Yankees game was the closest thing to
Yeah.
Alabama Auburn
Oh yeah.
football. It's like intense.
Mhm.
And then we went again and watched them play the A's. But yeah, that was a bucket list still for me was Fenway.
Yeah,
It's
me too.
you been?
Yeah, I went I think it was 2016, and I'm a huge you'll learn this. I'm a huge fan of just Boston in general. Uh love the city, love the history, um love the Red Sox. So me and my wife went in 2016, and we were going to do all the touristy stuff anyway, and I was like, we're putting a game at Fenway on the list. So we did the whole like afternoon tour where no one's there and you're just getting a tour of the field. You get to go stand on the green monster, all that, and then we watched them absolutely curb stomp the Diamondbacks that night. So they were playing a little interleague game, and like I think I can't remember who it was. I think maybe, oh shoot, I'm gonna blank on the name now. Hanley Ramirez. I think
Yeah.
hit. I think he hit like two home runs in like the first four innings of the game or something like that. I mean, just it was a bloodbath, and so we went to that, loved it, and yeah, Del Murphy, favorite player, not a bad pick at all. Does he belong in the Hall? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think so.
I
I
think
think
so
so.
too. I think so
Yeah.
too. Yeah, victim of circumstance during those '80s years, but
Yeah, probably so.
yeah,
Is that
same
the
thing.
dead
Well,
ball era? Was that the dead ball era? When was the dead ball era?
that's a good
I
question.
think it was before that, but I was
Before
trying to
that,
make it for him.
yeah. Well, hey, if him from your era belongs in, certainly Andrew Jones from that
Yeah.
next era belongs in as well. So,
Yeah, I tell you what, that island where they're from. If you ever get a chance to go, like, they're from Curacao, Andrew
Curacao.
and Ozzy Albies, and I coached a kid in junior college from Curacao, so I always wanted to go and visit that island. I went last summer, and they have a baseball stadium right there by the port where kind of all the tourist stuff is on the
Right.
island, and so we go to it, and my son's a baseball guy, so I wanted him to see like it's a stadium now, and we
Mm.
go in, you can hear them in there playing. We go in the stadium, and there's about 20 something kids there. There's not really any coaches. There's people sitting up in the stands, and they're just playing baseball, man. Like the bats are old. There's no grass on the field, not in the outfield, not in the infield, weeds, and they're just playing the game. And it's like you're just set back, but it's really neat what they got going on down there. But that's something that, and when you said Andrew Jones, it made me think about that. You know, the the way those kids grow up playing the game's incredible. So if you ever get a
Yeah.
chance, that's a neat place to visit.
No, that's cool. I mean, that's baseball almost in its purest form, you know, like just kids just finding somewhere to play, and whether it be the greatest spot or not, they're still playing the game, and that's what matters.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
cool. Well, we'll end on that, Coach. I certainly appreciate you doing this, and I wish you guys a lot of luck this fall, and we'll be following along.
All right, Gary. I appreciate you having me on, man. And again, I'd be remiss if I didn't say it again, but I appreciate all that you do and certainly promote high school athletics and draw interest to it. And you know, it's a big deal. And so thank you. And if there's ever anything we can do at Oakman, or you ever this way, let us know, man. We'd love to have you.
I appreciate it. I have to stop by that steakhouse you talked about.
I think they just actually closed it down. I don't think it's going to open. But you missed on that one. I wish you could have got it because it was good.
Man, well, we'll see what's next at Oakman then. How about that?
Sounds good, Gary. Thank you,
All right.
man. Go Wildcat.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Have a good day.